Hi everyone. Thanks for being here. Thanks for making it till Thursday. I know a lot of people fly out. I really appreciate you here. I'm here with two amazing colleagues coming up on stage. My name is Timo Wirtz. I'm managing director as part of Accenture Song. The material you saw here and you'll see in a bit is the work of the former Macrovision team in Germany. We're now part of Accenture Song. Partnering with BMW, or Monkey Way, with others that you heard about already, I think yesterday and the day before. And let's dive in. We have a Q&A later. You can raise your hand, but I can't see any of you, so it won't pay out. So let's dive in a bit and talk about a few things we do. There's a lot of work we do, from what is technical possible to what is affordable and what you can push out in mass. What you see here for now is some of the pre-rendered high resolution skills we did, actually rendered with 3D Max and V-Ray. It's the multi-layer compositing we do with Photoshop. So something that we really try to stretch and try to figure out what is it we can do. And then on the journey, obviously, breathing it down and boiling it down to what is it then we can make from it in mass conception, also pushing the price using real-time technologies to make it happen. And within our group, obviously, I think a lot of you know about what we do in VFX. So we really try to understand what is visually possible. We take it into automotive, we take it into other industries. So we have kind of R&D downstream from VFX over high-resolution images with a lot of manual work down to the mass production, almost fully automated or fully automated, that we can pull off on demand. There is some of the work that you've seen yesterday in the session by Epic and BMW. It's high-res rendered 8K images in this case. This is what we do, around 100, 150 per car model. It is rendered with Unreal and ray tracing, and also multi-layer compositing then with Photoshop. So this is usually when we push out images and configurators from one master data set. As said, it is Unreal rendered. And the thing I want to point out is that often what we do is that the lighting is something that we do with the tooling that is developed on our own. So I know we had past discussions here in the tech, in the automotive talks on what is the concept of lighting we do. So this is where we currently still implement our own tools to get it done. We have here some of the images from our Mercedes performance. This is ultra high resolution renderings in 13K. It's around only 20 perspectives that we do for models, so it's really, really few that we put out there. It is Unreal with rendering, with ray tracing on, and there's no compositing done. So this is actually the highest grade we put out there. Very selected, and also the lighting is something that we use self-developed tools for. Looking at a bit of images that most of you've seen yesterday in the other talk is something that we pushed into a procedural environment. So it's our BMW real-time content production. We create this 2.5 kilometer, 1.5 mile coastline generated for BMW. It's fully CG. So we have full flags with weather conditions, time of day. It's all safe, nobody's getting hurt, and the artists have quite a degree of freedom that they can enjoy. And I think something very interesting now to explore with Unreal and our partners, and how this is something we can put out there to allow people to play around with it. And then the next thing I want to show is some R&D work that we actually used. We used Unreal with the NVIDIA RTX caustics playing around. So this is scenes that are lit with ray tracing global illumination. We have LED panels that you've seen in the scene. It's these light sources really used to create and light the car. It's ray trace caustics to improve the headlight realism. So this is something where we try to figure out how how much we can do with it, and how much reflection and like feeling and emotion we can put into it. It's a super nice one, but it is with the NVIDIA RTX Caustics, let's say, plugin that you need to work with here to make it happen. So for us, it was playing around really with the ray tracing, reflections, and something that client obviously was very happy with. So what is important here, and I think we've heard it a lot of times, and there was a lot of questions also in the other groups, is, yeah, but couldn't you have done this? And isn't there something we can actually put on top? So one thing is that not everything we work on, we're allowed to show here. And the other thing is not everything that is possible is what the client will pay you for. So we always like in this tension, in the zone, trying to figure out what is it we can do. And as time moved forward, a lot of the stuff that was obviously high-end, just 1 year ago, finds its way into the industrialization, into the standard processes that we can do. And it was the same for us, for MHP, who talked here before. We were always fighting the same fights. I assume you do the same. It is going faster. It is exciting. We see what is happening. I think the COVID got us a bit on provision of hardware to push things where we wanted. But things are picking up again, and the partnerships we have here obviously also help to push things that we aren't able to push on our own. So with this, I'd like to hand over to Mike.
Thank you, Timo. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike. I lead experience design globally for Accenture's Metaverse Continuum Business Group. And I want to talk about sort of where we think we go and some places we think we don't go from what Timo just shared. And I think very much I'm speaking to sort of the part of everyone in this room that has a little bit of design as part of their job, because I think every discipline does. Everybody's making decisions about how what they do comes across to an audience, even if that's just an internal audience. So at Accenture, we're in the process of rethinking right now everything about how we as consumers interact with brands, technology, and each other. And the automotive industry is a really great example of one of the spaces where some of those themes are kind of coming to life right now. So our domain is becoming much more than, I think, how nice we can make a render of a car look. Our remit's becoming more expansive. We're beginning to become responsible for journeys, and not just the journey of should I purchase this car, the sort of purchase experience, but the journey of the life of an owner over the course of their time with a car, and the journey we take consumers on as we're painting that overall picture of the value of the purchase of something like a car. And I think it's an interesting thing because we started with this initial thing was the test drive, right? That was the sort of visceral, emotional moment where you really made a decision about whether this car felt right for you. And now we've sort of moved into this online world where we've tried to channel elements of that same visceral experience through visuals and the convenience of online shopping. But now we find ourselves in this place where, funny enough, with the rise of mixed reality technology and other emerging tools and techniques and capabilities, we're now rediscovering ways to take the best of that visceral test drive experience and the ease of online shopping and kind of bring them together in new and exciting ways. So uncovering these opportunities requires a new, more expansive, more integrated kind of design and production, because we're moving toward a world built around more holistic, authentic experience. And that could be a lot of things. That could be a VR test drive that also shows up as an AR car placed in your driveway, so you can really feel what it would be like to have this vehicle in your home with you. That also shows up as a digital twin of your car that holds every bit of bodywork and routine maintenance that has ever happened over the life of the vehicle. That, oh, by the way, is also a car you can use as the car you play with in Rocket League, for example. And this new realm of experience isn't just going to change how we market new vehicles. It's going to fundamentally change how we think about business across all industries. Um, and so then you have to think, well, how do you stand out when every business becomes an experience business? And that idea um, starts to paint a picture of what the metaverse will become, really with experience sitting at the center of all those ideas and ways of thinking and new emergent technologies and things like that. Um, and actually, as I look at this slide, I realize we can't really, I don't think by law we can show the word metaverse without like a picture of somebody in a VR headset and some blue floaty stuff. So let me get that in there. Um, this week I've heard a lot of diverse speakers from different backgrounds and different companies and different perspectives sharing similar thoughtful ideas and perspectives around the metaverse. And I think that's a really interesting moment to be here and hear those conversations because those places where all these thoughts and ideas are starting to converge, I think is where the buzzword starts to strip away and you start to see what is durable and interesting and valuable about this sort of new or reframe or what sort of whatever your perspective on the metaverse and its sort of tangibility might be. But it's exciting to see sort of moving beyond the buzzword. And anyone has put out a definition of the metaverse at this point. But I like Accenture's take specifically because it's informed by the breadth of work that we do. We work with you know thousands of clients across dozens of industries and every discipline under the sun. So I think we can have a uniquely holistic view of what's happening as this new medium really is coming together. Um, so that work that we do requires us to constantly be on the lookout for connections across industries and technologies and stakeholders and really has informed this definition. So when we think about the metaverse, we define it as an evolution of the internet that enables us to move beyond browsing to participating or inhabiting a persistent shared experience. Really importantly, an experience that spans the spectrum of our real world to a fully virtual world and everything in between. And that notion of a spectrum is something that we find really important and really interesting. It's not just literally as we have in our definition here, the spectrum from something that is in the physical world to something that is fully in the virtual world. But it's also the spectrum of stakeholders that need to be represented as we design these new types of experiences, the spectrum of technologies that are required to bring it to life, and the spectrum of new types of value that we can create by finding these new intersections and new points where these things are coming together and merging. So did we go there? We went there, great. So we see the metaverse as a space or a shared reality where ideas of place and creativity and utility combine in new and unexpected ways with tools that enable ownership, identity, and community that let us create new types of experiences, unlock new value, form new communities, and uncover new markets. So one thing that it's going to take to bring these ideas all together, especially in the near term, is less of a focus on visual fidelity and more of a focus on interaction and accessibility, for example. We're optimizing right now for openness and meaningful interaction rather than a sort of super high-end visual experience, because we want to get as many people invested, excited by, aware of, and participating in this new medium. And that lowering that bar on looking at the primacy of visual fidelity, I think is a better way to say it, in a different way helps us get as many people under that tent as possible. So bringing all these ideas together really requires a new kind of design and a new kind of designer. So the teams we're building at Accenture are both deeply integrated across technical, creative, and strategic disciplines. Um, but they're also staffed with talent that can all wear multiple hats, that work across organizational silos, and share vocabulary across industries. And that's really just sort of the baseline for how we think about putting together teams that can execute um, projects in the metaverse for the metaverse. And one of the things that I think is exciting is that when you have those kinds of collisions of people who talk the same language or have a lot of, have these interesting points of overlap between what they do and what they care about, is that we start to move beyond experiences that are just sight and sound. Um, Maybe not taste, but definitely like proprioception, which is your sense of where your body is in space. It's why when you close your eyes, you can still touch the tip of your finger to the tip of your nose. Um, or thermoreception, the sense of temperature, which is something we found we're actually able to fake pretty effectively using really strong sight and audio cues in VR. Um, Nocioception is your sense of pain. Probably not something you want to lean into as a designer of experience, but like, there's a place for it. Earlier, and in fact, earlier in the week, the team behind the tactical taco truck, I don't know if anybody watched that talk, but they had a fantastic sort of immersive VR experience that put you in a physical, all the hardware was housed in a physical taco truck that matched up with the virtual vehicle you were riding through in a zombie shooting experience. The work that they shared required their team to expand their design and technological expertise into a lot of these areas. This multi-sensory experience they were bringing to life covered many of these senses in an equally important way for each of them. And I think one of those things that we're seeing emerging in this moment as an especially exciting opportunity for building experience and driving value is sound. So to focus our attention there for a bit, let me introduce Nadia Buteo, who is our audio lead for Accenture's Metaverse Continuum Business Group. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. As Mike said, I am our audio lead. And talking about audio here is apparently a pretty provocative statement. I've had a lot of really interesting, amazing conversations over this week. And yesterday, audio has been very important to, I would say, the development of the automotive industry. You could argue that it was the first truly immersive audio experience. You had your consumer in a vehicle and you had a sound system, and it influenced culture over the last decade so significantly. You went from like fuzzy AM radio to 8 tracks to children of the 80s and 90s, like passionately burning mix CDs and going on your road trips. And, each new advancement, the automotive industry was lockstep with the audio industry. We were going from the 8-track to now, streaming and Bluetooth integration, and who knows what's next there. Yesterday, we saw BMW talk about their really exciting partnership with the composer Hans Zimmer, and for audio design primarily in their vehicles. This level of thoughtfulness and strategy makes a lot of sense for two industries that have co-developed together. But what we see is mostly that thoughtfulness and strategy in the physical product and not so much in the digital experience yet. So we hear 20 to 100 times faster than we see. Sound is essentially energy traveling to meet you. Hearing is the reception of that sound through your body and not just your ears. And listening, for me, I'm highly biased, but I think it is truly the highest form of respect and survival that we have. It is paying active and engaged attention to someone or something. There was a great article by NPR a few years ago about how sound shaped the evolution of our brains and how even bacteria have this vibration sensitivity, and it is, it's critical to understanding our environments. Is this thing over here food? Is this thing over here a predator? For a gamer, is somebody walking up behind me and about to shoot me? We need vibrations are all around us all the time, giving us vital information through our entire bodies, again, not just our ears. So with this point and this fact that it is our fastest sense, everything we hear absolutely affects every other sense and perception that we have. It influences our thoughts even. It's processed so quickly, it gets in so fast that it sets the foundation for all of our other sensorial inputs. With that said, my tagline lately has been, your eyes lie to you, but your ears don't. And this is the provocative statement for a lot of people, that audio is 51% plus of an experience. It's really vital to all experience design. George Lucas has said, it's 50% of a movie-going experience. Danny Boyle believes it's 70 to 80% of a filmmaking experience. And David Lynch has a quote where he stated, the audio drives almost 100% of a scene. And I'm going to paraphrase him now, but audio sets a tone, it adds the mood, and it pulls you into a world. It has to work with the visuals, but without it, you've lost half of the experience usually. And it's just as applicable to digital and immersive environments as it is to filmmaking. So your eyes can believe that a few brushstrokes is a forest, but if you have a ball bouncing and it's a millisecond off, you are immediately taken out of an experience. If you have a scene set in a cave, but it sounds like a wood room, you are immediately taken out of the experience. So spatial audio, sound design, and composition all work together to build this collective belief and trust in a world. And to drive the best possible experience, you really need a truly comprehensive audio strategy. At its core, what that means is that all audio needs to roll up to a brand's strategy. Research has shown, I'm going to drop the thing that all the business people love. Brands that use music aligned with its identity are 96% more likely to be remembered by the consumer versus brands that use unfit or no music at all. Congruent sound and video enhance the emotional impact of visual communication by 1,207%. That's from Oxford. And consumers who recalled, understood, and liked the music the brands were using were also about 24% more likely to purchase those products. So those are all pretty powerful stats, I would say. Other elements we need to understand and consider for audio during the process are the use case and the goals. Is this experience for brand exposure? Is it for loyalty? Is it for sales? Who are the users? What are the personas, the demographics? The culture is super important. What is the tech stack? What are the headset specs? Lots of headsets have these dinky little speakers that you have to keep in a certain frequency range if you're not going to use headphones. What platform are you deploying to? Some platforms are only enabled for mono instead of spatial and ambisonic audio. Those are really important. And also, what are the accessibility requirements? Audio usually has a very heavy lift with accessibility, and you need to have that up front. These, among many, many, many other inputs, influence the overall audio strategy and the creative direction. And I really, really enjoyed the talk earlier today from the Unreal's audio team. It was a phenomenal talk, and they really drove home the fact that they're a co-equal discipline. And at Accenture, we also try to say and live out audio as a co-equal discipline. And so if you use this research, if you do, all of these inputs, they beyond asking things like the technical questions, what are the headset limitations? Do you need to augment with haptics for accessibility? Do you need to compose outside of Western timing to better connect with the culture? If you do this research, the strategy, and the execution right, generally 5 key benefits of consistent audio are increased brand value, meaning loyalty, equity, and recognition, enhanced and more coherent brand communication, increased impact of visual communication, stronger brand differentiation, and improved brand recall. So these high performing experiences also keep users wanting to learn more. The enhanced storytelling keeps them engaged in the experience for longer, and it really creates a sense of place and buy-in. So I hope that we can agree that audio is a key driver for not only experience, but also value, and is just one example of where significant opportunities are. Up to 83% of all marketing expenditure globally has been focused on visual assets. It's difficult to break through all the noise for sight. Audio is your way to stand out. It only takes us around 0.146 seconds to react to sound. We automatically experience an emotional and physical response when hearing audio. We're reassured by the beeps of transactions, the whoosh of an email sent, the roar of an engine, or that click of your car door. Ultimately, every moment in our lives is affected by audio. This is truly a golden opportunity to craft the symphony of our surroundings. And at Accenture, we want to tune the world into what's possible through the power of sound. And exceptional design, strategy, and execution really are at the core of what we do as a business. And I'm going to turn back to Timo now to talk a bit more about why we formed the Metaverse Continuum Business Group to allow us to do that work at scale.
Thanks, Nadia. So, why are we all talking about this to you here on stage? I think most of us here in the industry grew up with gaming. We know about sound. Sound has always been with games. But looking more on the enterprise side of what you can do with game engines, what we do in automotive and other industries, it has been very silent experiences. So it was not much of it. And the joy now of the metaverse, or the opportunities we see, and maybe also referring back to our title, closing a chapter here on CGI and automotive, for me, it's not a threat, but it's an opportunity to actually come together multidisciplinary with a lot of people and create simply greater experiences. And this is around different technologies. This is around different dimensions. It's a lot of things around digital twin and other hype curves and S-curves we have in the past years who never really picked up to the extent we all thought. There's a lot of stuff that is untouched, and we feel now this is the opportunity to finally bring it together, where we move experiences not only where a product is rolled out to the consumer, we bring it back into the factories, we bring it into the engineering, we make it finally seamless, and all based on 3D data, on the models behind, and then technologies like Unreal driving it throughout all the process and life cycle. And now the beauty is that as we come together here with Natia and Mike and others who come in with amazing CVs and experiences, fueling into discussion, allowing us to unleash it. And I think everyone who's here driving visuals, coming together, partnering, is simply going for much better results and bigger impact. So you're not connected to the internet. That is totally fine. Here we go. So what Mike already talked about, we really see now the metaverse as a continuum. We see as something now happening, an evolution that just kicks in, that keeps evolving, keep growing, touching more and more aspects of our lives. And that's something where everything that Accenture worked at in more or less silos now, giving the opportunity to bring skill together, partner even bigger. We see meetings now with companies, partners, clients that we haven't been in touch a couple of years back because it wasn't really something, there was nothing really to talk about. And suddenly we come together, and I hope all of you enjoyed that here. I mean, the blend of the mix of people, the discussions we had throughout the day, throughout the nights, is amazing. And there were so many ideas kicking in. There was so much things that I haven't thought of before, so many aspects. So this is something where we created now our Accenture partnering system, the ecosystem that we believe, where we bring people together. Even Accenture as a company of over 700,000 people needs partners, needs others to bring in new aspects, fresh brains that really fuel into the discussion, partners that have assets, technology that we don't bother developing ourselves. And this is something really, really great. This is something I think all of us have to come together for, because we're spoiled by gaming. Right? Every time I start my PlayStation and I enjoy the visuals, and then I go into a metaverse experience looking like what I experienced in the 80s, there's so much room to push visuals, push audio. Every dimension there is that we have ticked the boxes in terms of photorealism. Everything that we ticked in terms of boxes of experience in games is something where we all kind of turn it back to zero, not offending all of us struggling hard to do it. But there's so much room to grow. There's so much opportunity. And this is why we're super excited to be here as the Accenture Metaverse Continuum Business Group. Partner up with people, partner up with all of you, going into new industries, make things happen. And Unreal is an amazing technology pushing it, allows us to explore things, be creative. And now also paying attention to audio and other aspects. I think it's becoming even more powerful. And I'm very much looking at for the next years. Time is crazy, and that's great. And let's keep evolving here together. Thanks a lot.